Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour, episode 161. I am here today with Sebastian Vice, author, rankateur, indie publisher, whatever you want to call it. How are you doing today?
All things considered going on, I'm, hanging in there, taking it one day at a time, like I imagine most people are.
Were you
How are you,
were
man?
you caught in the snowpocalypse at all?
No, I mean, okay. Yes and no, but I am originally from Minnesota.
Oh well,
I'm,
there's
I'm in
so many
Indiana
booktube
now.
related people from Minnesota. It's crazy. Like it must just attract a bunch of Minnesotans.
Here's the thing. I'm in Indiana now, and like people complain about the snow, and it's like, bro, I remember 3 feet just dumped in like a 24, 48 hour period. I remember that. I remember like it being common when I was there, like 15 years ago. How long ago? Whatever. It would get 30, 40, sometimes 50 below. Like, I know cold. Like, you think this is bad. No, no.
Oh no,
No.
I
My comrades up in Minnesota, they're you know,
It's
we
funny.
feel.
I don't know if you watch Tori Talks, but she was on a stream yesterday where she was talking about, yeah, we'll just walk outside and it's like negative 12. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous. At
That's a
least to
common
me.
thing. No, that's a common thing. Like,
Because I live out in
it,
Oklahoma, obviously, if you didn't gather from the name, which we get
yeah.
snow. I mean, we've gotten snow, but like, something like what's going on right now is not generally something that happens.
See, but here's the thing. Like, you guys think it's crazy about like our snow, but I always think it's crazy. And no doubt, I have preconceived notions, but like, I think it would be wild to live in like certain parts of the South where you could just like open your door and like a gator would be there, or, or
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I don't live in the deep south, but yeah, I've been down to Florida, just to like beach areas, but
yeah,
I've never never seen a gator.
or just
Well,
like
actually, have
or
I?
just like contending with hurricanes, just like that always fucks me up. I'm always
Oh,
like,
my parents have some stories about hurricanes because they lived in Florida back in like the 80s.
yeah, that would freak me out. That would be. I'm not scared of much, but like storms for some reason, I'm like, it gets me all. Yeah, when there's like a thunderstorm, I'm like, oh. So
But yeah, you've written some stuff. I know. I remember seeing you on the Talking Story Discord. That's how we met, anyway.
yeah,
You wrote this novella called Driver,
yeah.
which is like, which I heard from like John and a couple other people is like, I've heard it's like dark and grimy and evil, aka something I would enjoy. So yeah, I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy. I'm sure he has
I don't
some
know.
interesting views on things.
I mean, I'm not going to take away anybody's interpretation. I'm kind of a, I'm one of those people that you know, whatever interpretation you give it, that's fine. But personally, when I wrote it, I just wanted to write about a broken man. I just wanted it was just a deeply, deeply broken guy who is just trying to survive in a brutal world,
Mm-hmm.
and when John says, this might make a lot of people uncomfortable, when John says, and again, this is none of this is disrespect. This is all respect to John, because but when he says, everybody who shows weakness will be abused. Yeah, yeah, that's how. I hate to say it. That's how America works. If you're black, you're going to be abused. If you're Latino, you're going to be abused. If you're poor, you're going to be abused. If you're a woman, you're going to be abused. If you're a child, you're going to be abused. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
this
I
is
guess what interested me is that like well, actually, I don't know if you've read like Steve Stark stuff, like A Hot Dose of Hell, which is like kind of a crime novel, but it kind of turns into a horror novel as well. Or I had John Davis on here. He's a British guy. He wrote this novella called Muscle, which I'm
Okay.
actually hoping to read as well. But like, there's not the point I'm trying to get at is like, there's not like a lot of like self-published, or I mean, you run like an indie publisher. I don't know. You can probably describe it in a little bit, but like, there's not a lot of like indie crime literature out there.
Oh,
Which,
there is.
yeah,
No,
well, okay. Let me back up. I'm sure there probably is more than the ones I just noted, but I don't know as much about it as I do like science fiction or fantasy.
okay. So if you're interested in a friend of mine, Stephen J. Golds,
Mm,
he does some good. He has some great crime stuff. He has the Gone trilogy. So Stephen J. Golds, he was one of the people that initially inspired me because he had an article in Lit Reactor that
mm.
I think is now defunct. But there was an interview, and the headline alone was like, yeah, where he goes, if you're not gonna write honestly, don't even bother. And I was like, yes, somebody finally they get it. Like they get it. Because so much of literature I feel is contrived. It's too neatly packaged. It's
Mm.
too, and it doesn't show the rough edges. It doesn't
So
show
so you
the,
want to write, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
but you want
yeah.
to write like rebellious, like outlaw literature.
I don't know if that's what, okay. I don't know if I set out to write, I don't set out, okay. I don't set out with an intention of writing like provocative stuff or
Mm.
stuff that is, I don't write intentionally to get under people's skin. Like I know some people are like, they want to be like a provocateur, or they want to be
Mm.
somebody who's like intentionally pushing the bounds. I just naturally do it because I just write from the heart. And I guess that's where it leads.
Mm.
Um, and of course, that comes from my life, experience. I think that you can learn a lot about, I think you can learn a lot about a person's life experience, or like a lot about like an author, just by reading their work, right? Like what kind of life they've led, um, or how they grew up, right? So like you can contrast me with like a Brandon Sanderson. Clearly Brandon Sanderson had a pretty charmed life, and good for him. Like bless him, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
good for you, buddy. Like I'm glad you had a life. I mean, I think he once claimed, I think he's claimed he's never known what it's like to feel depression. It's like, dude, like great. Like I'm happy for you. That's not me. I'm somebody who, I grew up in a rough area. I grew up, one of my first childhood memories was, uh, my sister and I are a significant distance apart in terms of age. One of my first memories was her husband kicking her down the stairs. The place that I grew up, a meth lab blew up.
Oh, geez.
There was a guy who killed his girlfriend, shoved her in a closet, and she was there and rotted.
Oh my God. Okay, so
Now, I can
all
just keep
right.
going. Yeah, like I would hear men dragging women down the stairs.
Oh, so
I saw,
you've had some trials. Is what you're getting at.
yes, which is to say, when it goes back to Driver, that environment that I have in Driver, it's not my environment, but it's a simulacra to my environment that I grew up in, where you walked out of your house and you better be prepared to bust somebody's nose. You better be prepared to fight, because if you
Mm.
don't, they will. So when I write honestly, when I talk in a certain way, it's not abnormal to me. Right? Like it's just, I grew up in an extreme circumstance. And so I have kind of an intense personality. And that's how Driver was written. It was just written with this kind of like like in your face type way. I think that yeah. Anyway, I'm droning on. You probably have questions, so I'll stop.
Oh no, no, no. This is no, this is quite fascinating. I mean it no, but like my point being again, I haven't seen a lot of independent published like crime fiction. Again, I know it probably exists. I don't know if you read like Joe Lansdale, though he does like small publishers. I don't know if he'd technically be considered an indie writer. He's pretty
Joe Lansdale is great. Joe Lansdale is
he's
great.
pretty well regarded
Yeah, he's great.
in like in genre circles anyway. I know John really likes him. I do too. I think Hap and Leonard is a really underrated. It's not talked about a lot, but it's a lot. It's really good.
Yeah.
At least the first three books that I've read anyway. I need to read a good many of the other ones.
The other one that's the other underrated crime author is James Salas. He's
Oh yeah, the guy who did Drive.
yep.
I was gonna ask you if like Driver was impacted by Drive
Directly.
because you know when I saw your cover I thought of the film or I haven't read the book but I know I love the film I think it's great.
So, do you want to hear the story of the inception of Driver?
Sure Phil, yeah, go right on in.
Okay, so I had no idea who James Salas was
Mm.
until it was like 2018. And sometimes now, I'm not like a big movie person, but sometimes I'm like, I had a rough day. I just want to sit down and watch something stupid, right? Like
Uh-huh.
watch some like dumb action movie with like Jason Statham where I can turn my brain off and it just. So I go to Netflix and I see Drive and I'm like, oh, it's probably another one of these Fast and Furious 200 movies that's same,
Mm-hmm.
I turn it on and I mean, I'm not spoiling the movie. This is just like the first opening sequence where you've got this driver and he's laying down the guidelines of what his job is.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there within, for 5 minutes, anytime before or after, you're on your own. But within this time period, I'm yours. He's got this code. And you see these guys break into this place, they steal stuff, and then you see a pretty realistic getaway because you see him driving the speed limit. You see him getting a regular ass car, one of the most common cars. You see him stop at red lights. Yeah, there's some scenes where he has to drive, chase, like evade cops.
Yeah, like pull some bullet moves. Yeah.
Yeah, but then he goes right back to normal, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's just the right amount, and then he stops. And I thought, okay, I want to write a story about a driver that is unremarkable, that is not like a glamorous thing, like an unglamorous driver. And
Mm-hmm.
I also really respected in the movie, at least. And then I went and then read the book, right? And then I read
Mm-hmm.
other stuff by James Salas. And James Salas he is to the point. His
Mm-hmm.
books are like his books rarely go much over 200 pages. I don't think any of his books have topped 300
Mm-hmm.
pages. They're all.
So like I don't know if you've read the Parker novels, but like that little bit.
I've not read the Parker ones. I've not. You'll have to send me a link to those.
Oh well, I have only read the. It's about a thief. I think you would like those if you like that.
Yeah. No, and then I also really like how the film handled violence.
Mm.
In the sense of I like the realism in the sense of when we're not talking about battle scenes or we're not talking about war, but we're talking about just regular old street violence or just
Dudes
violence.
beating each other up.
Yeah, it's explosive. It ends before it starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it ends before it starts. I could tell you stories. So like in the movie, that's how it is. It's explosive. It's quick, over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and that's how it is. Like I had a bully. I had a bully in my neighborhood, and I remember like that's how it was for me. Like I put my hand on his throat and I slammed him against a tree. And then I took my other hand and I smashed him right in the nose and and it cracked his nose and blood shot out. And he started to cry. And I'm not going to repeat what I said on here because it'll probably get you in trouble. Suffice it to say, I said some things and he never fucked with me again.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Shortly after 9/11 happened, a couple years, when there was a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment, I was friends with, oddly enough, this woman wasn't even Muslim. She was Indian from India.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, to like somebody with a Confederate flag, they're all the same. And I remember this guy. He drove by and he said, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but you can imagine what he said. And he threw a bottle. So
He dropped some colorful language about Indian people and
yes,
threw
but
something.
then
I don't mean
there
to laugh,
was,
but
yeah, and then there was a stoplight. There was a stoplight, and he stopped it. And he was in his truck. So I rush over. I yank him out of his car. Bam, bam, bam. Kick, kick, kick. I'm gone. Like that's how it works. Like it's quick. It's explosive, and it's not glamorous, right? Like
mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody who listens to this to come away thinking, "Oh, that's cool." It is. It isn't. Like, I can't emphasize enough to people how uncool and unglamorous and how like dirty um, that kind of violence is, and I wanted that to be a part of Driver, just
Mm-hmm.
the dirtiness of it, kind of the not glamorizing it, not making it the focal point, but just being woven into the fabric of the world. And this is just a part of the world that we just have to live with. Like this is in this world, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the movie was the inspiration. And then I read the book. The book was obviously better. And I read some of his other works. A Killer is Dying is a weird one because I can't discern a plot from that book, but for some reason it's so good, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. I can't put my fingers on it. Anybody who's read it knows the famous cockroach scene, which should be an unremarkable scene. The cockroach scene, absolutely riveting. It's just about a cockroach in I believe, a bathroom, and it's like a nothing. It should be like a nothing scene, but James Salas is so good that it's burned into my brain, and my memory ain't so good, and I can remember that. But yeah, James Salas definitely underrated. His what are they called? Lou Griffin. Yeah, he's got six. Yeah, his six books in his Lou Griffin kind of like detective um, books are really good. And then I think all the rest of his are standalones, except for there's like a sequel to Drive Driven. I haven't read it because I heard it wasn't that good, and I don't want to ruin Drive. I don't know if it's good or not, but yeah, everything I've read by James Salas is just phenomenal. But yeah, as far as the indie people, yeah, you've got Steve Golds is absolutely phenomenal. Another guy that influenced me a lot, and I talked to him for a bit, for a while. Craig Clevenger, he goes through small presses, but he's got the Contortionist Handbook. That was uh, his first book.
Mm-hmm.
And the Contortionist Handbook is and it was out of print for a while, a long time. I had a hell of a time getting my hands on it. Finally, a subsidiary of Angry Robot picked it up. What was it called? I don't know. It was some whatever. They picked it up, and the Contortionist Handbook is a fascinating book because it's a dual narrative of the premises that there's this guy, and he keeps getting checked into mental institutions because he gets these horrendous migraines. He'll take medication for them, but he'll overdose, and then they'll think he's trying to kill himself. And so then he has to go to psychological evaluation. And so what you have is you have this dual narrative. You have this one narrative on top of another where it starts off with a beautifully written overdose scene, followed by then he's tricking this evaluator, right? He is doing this kind of like Machiavellian type tricking of this psychiatrist. And while that's going on, while he's telling the evaluator what the evaluator wants to hear, he's telling the reader the real story, or the real quote unquote real story. So you get this interesting these parallel narratives. And oh my God, it's such a good book. Oh my God, it's so good. Again, another one clocks in at like 200 pages. Clocks in at 200 pages. But it doesn't waste anything. It wrings every bit of marrow from the bone. Phenomenal. Gosh, who are some other really good? There's so many of the underground kind of crime people. I've shifted a little bit away from that, so a lot of them off the top of my head I'm having a hard time remembering, but yeah.
All right, and I mean, I'm more familiar with like I don't know if you call it mainstream stuff. I don't know, but more familiar with like people who have been like traditionally published. So
Yeah.
but I know of James Salas because I really like Drive. I've wanted to read it for a long time, and well, since I'm going to be reading a lot of crime books this year, I might just nab Drive from somewhere and read it and see what I think of the book as compared to the movie. But I'm gonna be busy with that, and um, I think and crime literature isn't really talked about a lot on BookTube anyway. Like unless you're like StoryTube or Criminally or
Yeah.
Red Fury books from like sometimes anyway. Red Fury books. He likes like Michael Connelly, who I also might try this year, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't read a lot of, I don't know, like crime stuff. Like I like the noir stuff, which is kind of like the dark and the gritty. Like, I mean, I there's a quote by James Salas in that, like, what's the beauty of noir? It takes he said in a interview, in some article, he wants to take the rotting carcass of the American dream out into the sunlight. So for me, what noir does is it exposes the lies that society tells itself, right? And it shows kind of the underbelly of how the sausage is made, right? So like,
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean that's noir, right? You want to write a noir story about, let's say, Hollywood. Okay, you're going to talk about the casting couch. You're not going to talk about, oh, look how this person
Or
made it. No, you're
the rampant corruption of the LAPD. I think James Elroy has that covered in terms of like LA noir. Like every
James
LA
Elroy,
noir you're gonna read, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's the LA Quartet. Yeah, I've
James
read this
Elroy
before.
has done that to death. James Elroy is he's got that covered.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I became friends with his biographer. His name's Stephen Powell. He
Really?
actually gave me. You can find him on YouTube. He's called Elroy Reads. He wrote a book called Love Me, Fierce, and Danger. I just read it recently. It's quite good. You learn a lot, even though, even if you know like the beats of his life, because oh man, he's gone through the ringer. Um, but yeah, no, but yeah, I'm reading I'm trying to read like a bunch of like classics of the noir genre as well. So
Jim
I
Thompson is the king. Jim Thompson.
yeah, I actually read The Killer Inside Me a few years ago, which is
Oh,
um
his chilling
really.
line about weeds, his chilling line about flowers and weeds and stuff. You remember that?
Yeah, no, it's. I guess what caught me off guard with that book is just like how like blunt it is.
Yeah.
There's no like build up. He's just like, oh yeah, I shot him, and then when the girl's like, what the fuck's going on? He like beats the shit out of her
Yep.
and kills her. And then you're
Yep.
like, oh okay, this guy's fucking crazy.
I'm deeply influenced by Jim Thompson because Jim Thompson is
I want
blunt
to I
as
want to
well.
read
Like
more
he will
Jim Thompson. I don't know where else to go, I don't
Savage
know where to go yet, but
Savage Nights. Savage Nights is good. The Getaway.
I've thought
Pop
about
is
picking up The Getaway. Yeah.
what is it? Pop 22, I believe.
I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're.
yeah. He was good. Also, another one that's good is I forget the guy. I forget the guy's name. Have you seen the movie Killing Them Softly?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the
I
guy.
actually, funnily enough, I read The Friends of Eddie Coyle from that
Yes.
guy.
Yes. That. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Yes.
which is a
Yes.
which I thought was also quite interesting. I never actually, or well, let me think about it. I don't know if I've read a book where it's mostly driven by the dialogue. I've read books with great dialogue, but
Have you ever read a dialogue only book? It's only dialogue. Those are great. Those are
Uh,
interesting.
well, I guess
Hard
the
to pull.
Friends of Eddie Coyle. I mean, it has like some guys walk to the bank, but that's like
Yeah.
it. So I
Yeah.
guess the Friends of Eddie Coyle, if you'll count that,
That's pretty close. Yeah.
or like some of Cormac McCarthy's later work, where a lot of it is just people talking.
Yeah. I haven't read his latest work.
I've heard Stella Maris is kind of just people talking. It's just like a therapy session, I think.
See, I haven't read. Yeah, I haven't read his last two books. I'm kind of saving them because it's like
Same, yeah.
there's no more Cormac McCarthy. So
Mm-hmm.
once I read those two, there's because I did something like that with like I burned through all of Kurt Vonnegut, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
and I was like, now there's no more because he's dead. There's no more Kurt Vonnegut.
I've
So
only
I
read
learned.
Slaughterhouse 5, which I really enjoy. I want to read it again, to see where
Oh,
I land
he's so
again.
oh he's so good. Oh, he's so good. But yeah, I mean, I remember, yeah, I learned my lesson of like I'm looking right now at my collection of Philip K. Dick, who
He's another. We'll get along swimmingly. We like a lot of the same writers. I love
Philip
Philip K. Dick.
Philip K. Dick got me into science fiction.
You know
He
what? You know what's
got
funny? I'm actually reading. I don't know if you've read like Jonathan Lethem, but I'm actually reading his book "Girl in Landscape" right now, which is kind of
which,
like which is like a weird. I've heard it's inspired by The Searchers, the old Western film, which is one of my favorites. So, yeah, but like his one book called "Gun with Occasional Music" is very like seems like something PKD would have written back in the day. Very weird and out there. Not as esoteric though.
yeah, PKD is weird. Like
Oh
when
yeah,
he's brilliant, and when he's not, like
he gets weird. Yeah.
really you can tell like you can there's definite points where you're like, whoa, ease up on the drugs, bud. Like holy shit. But I mean, I will die on the hill that I think the best short story is Minority Report. Like
Mm,
people, if
that's a
you've
good one.
only seen the movie, read the short story. Minority Report is it will that and Payback. I think that's what it's
I
called,
really like
right?
The Hanging Stranger from him.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that one. I've got all of. I've got. I'm looking at all. I've got his collection of short stories that they all collected in how many volumes? 5 or 6. And I'm kind of like slowly every once in a while I'll pick up a short story from him and kind of savor it because I know there's no more. But man, yeah, some of his novels are really strange.
Yeah, I haven't touched like the Valis trilogy yet because I'm like, that seems a bit too freaky for me. Because like I do like some writers who touch on the esoteric. Like a Alan Moore or uh,
Yeah,
or
Alan Moore is great.
who else? Like, well, it's funny. I'm actually because I'm gonna record a video tomorrow where I'm gonna be
Yeah.
reviewing. But Grant Morrison, I read We Three because I'm gonna be reading a crap load of Grant Morrison's comics this year.
Mm.
Um, I mean, this one's probably like his most straightforward joint. So I'm not saying like this one's particularly crazy, but like when you read something like The Invisibles, it gets freaky. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not I tend to read a lot of writers who dabble in esoteria, even though I wouldn't call myself like a aficionado of esoteric thought, like the occult or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just I like Philip K. Dick's weirdness. I mean, I dig it. It's like even like through the word choices he uses. Like I always go like he says stuff like airsats or guffaw often in his books, and you're like, what the. Like
yeah,
and those mean things like airsats is like just like a mock of something, like like a mock-up of something, or guffaw just means you're laughing really hard, like, but like who says that though in like daily life? Not many
yeah.
people.
He was a well-read guy.
Oh yeah.
He drew from a lot of. I mean, yeah, he drew from a lot of different influences. I mean, his criticism of the kind of the pulp science fiction writers of his time was, you guys are just reading one another, so you're kind of just like an Ouroboros tale, just like eating the same stuff over and over. Where he was very influenced by like the French writers and whatnot. I forget.
Yeah,
God,
even he was too weird for like the new wave that came on a little later.
yeah, he
uh,
was. Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, a lot of movies based after his stuff too that he never got to see. Which, yeah, because he died, I think, like what, 2 weeks before Blade Runner came out.
yeah, so I think
I
if I remember right, he did get to see like I don't remember, maybe it was like a rough cut. Anyway.
I I have a friend, and this has seriously caused me concern, who thinks that Blade Runner is like dumb and preachy. I'm like,
Really?
bro, yeah. I'm like, bro, have you not? So I go, bro, tell me that you don't weep a little bit. Tell me that you don't tear up with the Tears in the Rain speech. I mean,
Mm.
come on, bro. And he's like, nah, that's just dumb. I'm like, you've got this. I mean, okay, sorry, spoilers for people who haven't seen Blade Runner, but you've got this guy, and he's at the end, and he's recounting all these things of like being human, and that was a central thing that Philip K. Dick dealt with. He really
Mm.
wanted to explore what it meant to be human.
It's always fun when I see people who like Blade Runner read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, because like the themes are quite similar, but it goes in different direction.
It's very different. It's very different.
I think Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is one of PKD's like best works. It's really like, at least in my opinion, it's one of my favorites anyway. I think it's very like it's more disciplined than you would usually see from him, while still
Yeah,
having that like really weird, wild imagination.
yeah. He was not a very disciplined in terms of like structure. Yeah, I mean, there would be plot lines left open. There would be,
Yeah, like I read Ubik, which is also really a really
yeah,
fascinating book, but yeah, it does get a little freaky towards the end. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, great stuff. Although for people who thinking about picking up Philip K. Dick, understand that the highs are high, are really high, but the lows, he's not consistent in quality. And I
Oh,
love him.
sure. When you
He's one of my
crank out
favorites.
as much as he did, I mean, you're gonna have some stinkers in there.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my all-time favorite science fiction writers, but I'm going to be the first to admit, yeah, he's got he's got as many stinkers as he does absolute brilliant pieces. But man, are the brilliant pieces worth it? I mean,
I mean, A Scanner Darkly is my personal favorite, and also
oh,
probably like the best straight adaptation of his work. Like,
oh yeah,
I always tell people, like, if you want like Philip K. Dick, like how he actually wrote, how he actually viewed things, just watch the Richard
yeah,
Linklater Scanner
yep,
Darkly film. It's really good. It's a really faithful adaptation, and the idea to you rotoscoping that was such an inspired idea, because it's like,
yep,
what a perfect way to capture the weird reality of Philip K. Dick, but with that, where it's
yeah.
like, where it looks relatively grounded, but there's just something wrong, you know. And I'm like, that's wonderful.
Have you read his the Philip K? Have you read when it came out? Gosh, what was it? Maybe 10 years ago, maybe more, maybe a little bit more. The big exegesis, his
I have
big,
not. I've wanted to. It's funny. Jonathan Lethem helped put that together. Speaking of,
very bizarre, and it is. When you read it, you'll be like, "This is something else." This is,
oh, I'm sure. I mean, I've been really hesitant to read like Valis for a very long time for that reason. It's you know,
yeah,
it's I know Philip K. Dick was working through something. I get that, but I don't
yep.
know if I fully understand it. And to be fair, I don't know if he fully understood it either. It's probably
You
why he
do
wrote it
know
down.
you do know that towards that he thought that, which is interesting, that he thought that we lived in a simulated reality.
Oh yeah, you've seen that speech he gave at that like science
Yeah,
fiction convention, and like, where the
yeah,
hell was that? Wasn't that like France somewhere where he was?
yeah, and like set like 79 or 8, and then like a couple years later he died. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
I think we are living in a simulation, and everyone's like, oh, okay,
But then
speak king.
fast forward, 30, 40 years, and you have people like Nick Bostrom who thinks that it's highly probable that we live in a simulated
Oh
reality.
boy, that's a little.
You have
You know what's funny?
you have,
I
you have
actually,
interesting mathematical arguments about he thinks the probability that we're living in a
one
simulated
of my
reality is high.
again, sorry to interrupt you. I'm really
That's
bad at
okay.
that, but like
Oh, no
I
worries, no worries.
no, it's funny you mentioned Nick Bostrom. My friend Matt actually recommended me the book. I think it's called like Superorganism or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm really fascinated with AI. One of my
Okay.
favorite like tropes in science fiction is like, okay, which is probably why I like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep a lot, because it kind of deals with this question, like, can an AI not only become like us, but can it become human? And
Yeah.
also, like, what does it mean to be human anyway? Really,
Yeah.
I'm real fascinated with that question. And my friend Matt was like, oh, you should read Superorganism by Nick Bostrom, because he plays with that a bit. I mean, I haven't read it yet. And then I had another friend who's like, no, he's like a racist weirdo, and I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I mean, I've
Who,
read HB.
Bostrom?
I've read H.P. Lovecraft. I've got my fair share of racist weirdos in my time.
Yeah. You know what? You have to take people, like, you have to I mean, I shouldn't say you have to, but it's you take the good with the bad, right? Like, people who know me, they know I'm like a very avowed anti-racist, but at the same time, it's like you got to take people as they are at a certain, um,
Well, sure. I'm not against reading like Superorganism, because like, I don't know, he made like some racist comments like 10 years ago, and I'm like, I mean, I don't have to agree with everything. I don't know if we live in a I don't know. I would have to read what he has to say before I go like, I agree with this or not.
yeah.
But
And
like,
even if you don't, it
generally
could
when
still
I think
feel.
of simulated reality, I kind of lean on the that's a bit kook. That's a little too kooky there. You're losing me.
Yeah, I mean, you evaluate the arguments. I mean, I don't know what to think. That's not like a I don't know. That's not like a high. That's not a high priority intellectual pursuit for me personally. Um, But I
I mean,
do
even with
think,
like Philip K. Dick, I'm not going like, yo, the reality's a lie, guys. I'm not going around saying that, but I do think
yeah,
he is
yeah,
really good at what he does, which is like
yeah,
exploring like human fragility
yeah,
and what even is reality, by the way. You know?
yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
funny. I was talking with a friend of mine about this the other day because I don't know if you've read like Thomas Pynchon at all. But like Thomas Pynchon's like the more like acceptable, Philip K. Dick. Like he's the one like the
Yeah.
literary establishment is like, okay, this guy actually writes like the big important books, so we'll take this guy seriously. While this like Philip K. Dick guy's over in his basement, doing amphetamines and going like, yo. What if it's all a simulation? It makes me wonder because like a lot of like some of their work is really close and not like
Yeah.
not like plot wise, but just like thematically wise. Where I'm like, I do wonder if they like knew of each other.
I don't know. I mean, it could be a case of just stumbling upon similar ideas. So like,
Possibly, yeah, that's
so
possible.
okay, so for example, okay, do you know that during like the kind of like the 50s, 60s, 70s kind of era of like the science fiction magazines, like the Asimovs and the Analogs and
Mm.
so forth, that every once in a while, they would get a visit from the FBI
Oh,
because,
that's funny you say that. I'm actually hoping to read Astounding this year. I don't know if you've read that, but
oh yeah, an old one.
it's
No, but they
I
would get
want to read that. I've heard it's basically about like the weird personalities. But continue with your story though. I
no, no,
have heard of this. I've heard
yeah,
like
they would, yeah, they would visit these different. They would like, they would visit. Sometimes the authors. I mean, like Philip K. Dick was visited by the FBI, I believe. But
yeah.
sometimes they would just visit like the editors, right? And they would just go, okay, you published this story. How did you know that that's what we were doing? And they go, we didn't.
Yeah, I've
We
heard
did.
that happen to like John W. Campbell actually. Like
I think so.
that
Yeah,
with
they were
like the nuclear
like
bomb. They're
we.
like, "What did someone say something to you?" And he kind of just BS'd about
Yeah,
something, and he's like,
and
I
yeah,
don't
they
think
didn't
he
know.
actually I don't think he got like inside information or anything, but he did go like he did kind of BS them into going like, "Look,
Yeah,
we just made this up. We're not.
yeah,
This is just speculation on if it could happen." And I guess that satisfied the government because they're like, "Get the fuck out
yeah.
of here, dude."
These guys. Here's the thing. These guys, they stumbled upon they stumbled upon something that apparently the government was working on, and just by accident, and it was the height of the Cold War paranoia, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I mean nothing really screams like Cold War freakiness like
yeah,
than Philip K. Dick. Like if you don't read a Philip K. Dick like and not get paranoid, like you're just oh man.
yeah, yeah, it was great. Yeah, I'm glad that I met another Philip K. Dick enjoyer. I mean, he gets
I know
so
he gets kind of raw. He gets I don't want to say is raw dog the right term? I don't know, but he gets kind of disrespected. It makes me sad. It's like
well.
he's
I don't
good.
even know if disrespected, just ignored, right? Like ignored. Like a lot of the old sci-fi guys do, or and gals do too. I mean, I'm glad to see that Ursula K. Le Guin is up to bat on Talking Story. But like, I remember even like 20 years ago. I mean, we were all talking about Robert Heinlein still. We're like, he's
Yeah, no,
great.
I like Heinlein too. I think people who call him like a fascist, I think are mistaken. I don't think he
That's not
was.
true.
I don't
Oh,
think he
you're
was.
missing the point of Starship Troopers. You're missing the point of Starship Troopers if you call him a fascist. I think, yeah,
No,
yeah,
but like he was also again, maybe it's just genre fiction. I was actually talking about this with comics the other day, but like it always seems like with science fiction or like comic books or whatever, it just tends to attract some really eccentric characters, really weird people. Which I've had some friends who go like, "Well, that's like writing in general." Like, like and I'm like, "That's true." But like in particular, like where else could like Robert Heinlein or Philip K. Dick could have made a career but like
yeah.
science fiction?
The
Same thing
one
with like
thing,
an Alan Moore with comic books. Like, there's no other.
yeah,
I mean, he could have like written novels. I think he's good enough. Well, he has.
yeah.
I read The Great Win a month ago. So I mean, he has.
I want to
But for some reason,
read
he's
about,
like, hey,
yeah.
comics are the place for me. Until it wasn't.
He kind of hates comics too. He kind of hates comics.
I think it's the industry he hates. I don't think it's comics
Oh yeah,
itself.
people can look into. No, he also. I mean, no. He thinks that um, comics are for children, and that adults who read them haven't grown up. Like he thinks that you need to grow up. I mean, think about it. What is okay? So the Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Watchmen other than a deconstruction? Now I'm going to be fair here. I can't speak to any length on comics. I'm not a comics fan,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like the Watchmen because it was this really cool
Well, yeah, it's a great.
deconstruction.
Yeah, it's a great book. Just in
Yeah,
general, I always hesitate to recommend that as like your first Alan Moore, just because like I don't think you need to read a bunch of superhero comics in order to understand Watchmen. I think you can read it as a standalone story and understand it, but like
yeah,
what makes it like truly special, I think you need some context there. So I always hesitate, but it is a great book though. I'm not, it's not um I mean, there have been people who've like kind of tried the Watchmen approach, being like the boys exists, and I like the boys more than most, but I don't think it's nearly as insightful as like Watchmen.
yeah, yeah. The Watchmen is very insightful. And Alan Moore, yeah, I mean he's another.
It's kind of funny. You kind of look like him today a little bit. You got the nice bushy beard going and the
Yeah,
long
yeah.
hair. I like it. It's a very nice beard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it stems from a combination of laziness and also like I don't know. I both like having a beard and don't. Like if I were to shake, I look like I'm probably like 80, but if I shave it off, shockingly, I look like 20 years younger. Like I'm in my 40s. If I shave it
I
off,
was
like
about to say,
I'm
I thought you maybe were in like your like maybe mid to late 40s, if I could guess. Yeah.
early 40s, early
Early
40s,
40s. Okay.
early 40s. But yeah. But if I shave it off, if you see me with it shaved, if I unless I've had this beard for about a year, but when I shave it off, I look, or at least I did. I don't know now, but in my early 20s, a
Yeah,
couple
no,
years.
it's yeah. I mean, if I shave, which like
Yeah,
this is nothing, but like when
yeah,
I shave, I look like I'm 17. I'm gonna be 25 in March, but it's um. But yeah, but going back to that, it's yeah, I think it's yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I mean,
I do think Alan Moore is a bit full of shit when he's says certain things like what you were saying,
yeah,
because like if you think that, why would you? You're basically just saying you've wasted your career writing comic
yeah,
books, which I don't think he feels
yeah,
that. From what I've maybe
yeah.
he
I don't
does.
know.
I don't know. I don't know the man.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I can't comment on comics. I just don't. The medium doesn't. It's how do I explain it? The medium doesn't. It's a weird medium to me of combining of interspersing pictures and text. My
Mm.
brain can't really process that too well.
I mean,
Um,
that's fine. I'm just sorry. I didn't mean to turn this into a comics chat. It's just kind of like, yeah,
no, it's okay. We can talk about whatever, man. I mean, it's totally fine.
No, I
I
just
will.
my point earlier was like science fiction attracts some freaking weirdos in a good
Yeah,
way and
I mean
sometimes a
that.
bad way. Like L. Ron Hubbard. Oh God, I mean, fascinating man, but I mean, that's a good
Here's the
reaction. Honestly, that's a good reaction. Honestly.
here's the thing. Here's what I think. Here's what I think is a kind of a problem is that now it seems like, given with like the rise of like social media and all of this algorithm chasing and all of this, it's kind of flattened the personalities of people. and it's flattened the personalities of writers because people want to know the writer, they want to know them, and so they all kind of blend together. Where, okay, do you think we're going to have another Harlan Ellison who fucking pisses on people's shoes?
Wait,
And
did he
again,
do
I'm
that?
not,
I
I'm
know
not
he
okay.
trademarked his name, but like, damn.
Yeah, I'm not okay. I'm not advocating to act like Alan, not like
Harlan Ellison.
Harlan Ellison, but like, yeah, he had a fan come up to him while he was in the bathroom and he pissed on his shoes. He's like, you know, he did a whole bunch of stunts. He did a whole bunch of, he was an abrasive, kind of crude, which, okay, I'm not either endorsing or not, but it's like there was a personality there, right?
Yeah,
Um,
there's like there's a raw honesty in that.
yeah, where I feel
It's kind of
like
a similar reason I like guys like, like a James Elroy or, a Hunter
yeah,
S. Thompson, where you're like,
yeah,
it's like, this is the world they see, and if you don't like it, fuck you.
yep. See, I
And I'm like,
like that.
I kind of respect that, really, because it's like, so, you were talking about how there's like literature at times feels kind of, at least nowadays, kind of feels like, oh, what were you saying earlier? It feels kind of safe. I guess I
Mhm.
like the unsafe books. I don't know. I'm.
Here's the thing for me.
No, I see what you're saying though. Is
The
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, the draw of literature for me is uh, to be able to explore topics that you can't explore and to do things that you can't do in any other medium, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you write something, you can say, well, why did I choose this medium instead of film? I mean, putting financial constraints aside, but why this medium, right? And so this is why, this is an unpopular opinion, but this is why I find action sequences in books so mind numbing. It's like that could be in a movie. I want something that
Mm.
I want you to explore something or do something, either with the language, with the topic, with something
Mm.
that you can't explore in film because it's too out there or confrontational. Um, like, have you ever seen the movie? Like, the one movie comes close to being where I'm like, wow, I'm surprised they got away with this. Have you seen 8 millimeter?
No, but I've heard of it. That's the one that's. I think that's guy who wrote Seven wrote that, if I remember correctly. But
I don't know who wrote it, but it was back when Nicolas Cage. It was during a
I know
good.
what you're talking about. I know, like, like James Gandolfini's in it, and like
Yup.
I know. Yeah, I know of it. I've not seen it though.
Yeah, I mean, for those who to kind of to set it up, I won't give away anything, but just to set it up, this was a during the '90s, right? When you could, it was a good period of, in my opinion, a good film, period of filmmaking. And Nicolas Cage is this private detective, or private eye rather,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets called to this rich lady's house. Her husband had died, and as they were going through their things, they found this 8 millimeter tape,
Mm-hmm.
and on there is what appears to be a woman being killed on camera. And she asked him to investigate. Is this a snuff film or is this just fake? And it
Mm.
gets dark. It gets darker and darker. And it really, I'm like, wow, they actually went, there's certain things in there. I'm like, wow, they actually went there.
I guess
Um,
that's kind of like how I react to certain films. Like, I don't know if you ever seen like Bad Lieutenant or Taxi
yeah,
Driver, where you're like, damn, like they really fucking like they did that. Like, I know it was a different time, but
yeah,
shit, it's that scene where Harvey Keitel's just full in the nude, just flipping out on drugs, and you're like, yo,
yeah,
that's fucking punk rock right there, man. Like,
yeah.
like like I'm kind of shocked they let that slide, man. I think Bad Lieutenant was like NC-17. So I was like, okay, all right, yeah.
It was. If you want to see a movie that will absolutely get under your skin, and I think this movie was made just for the shock value of it. I believe it's a French film. Came out in what 2000,
Mm-hmm.
called I think it's Irreversible, or is it Irreversible, or um gosh, I wish I knew the name off the top of my head. But I wouldn't recommend you watch it. I wouldn't recommend anybody watch it, except if you want to be exposed to some of the most like grotesque. I'll give you an example. There is a roughly 10-minute. I'll try to say this as carefully as I can. There is a roughly 10-minute violent like rape scene in there.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Yeah, it goes. I do not. I even for me, I'm like, this is a bit much, bro. Like this, like it is bad. It is really bad. Um, but returning back, I mean, with few exceptions, there are things that it's like I think are might be best kept in a person's imagination. Um, and that's the fun of storytelling for me, is to write about stuff. Whether I succeed or not, the audience will be the judge. But things that can go places that you might want to just keep on the page and not have on film or not be pictured. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I'm kind of like you. It's not. It's not like I like to go out of my way to read like offensive stuff. Like
yeah,
there's like, I mean, like Chuck Palahniuk for instance. I mean, I do think he's written some magnificent books, but once you
right,
kind of get his shtick, I get kind of burned out with it because you're just like, okay,
yeah.
dude, like, you know. Like one of my kind of hot takes, I guess, literature or film wise, is I've just gotten sick of Fight Club. Just I've just gotten so annoyed with it, and it's so frustrating because it has themes in it that are really good and really relevant to what's happening right now, and themes that do appeal to me. But it's just like the like pop cultural osmosis of it is just like so unbearable to me at this point. Like if someone mentions it, I just go on an apoplectic tirade.
I mean, I think it had a massive appeal because it spoke to men in particular, and
Mm,
it was kind of one of those. I mean, kind of those like men's inspirational novels. It spoke to it spoke to men, um, and it spoke to kind of the emptiness of kind of this like consumerist society. And um, I do think that it's kind of overstayed its, how do I do it, like it's it's a great book, it's a great movie too,
mm.
but it's been kind of like memed into oblivion, where it's
There's
like,
so many
okay,
like great things that's happened too.
well,
It's
okay, like I
I can't
okay,
even walk into the Sopranos subreddit at this point without like getting bombarded with like 5 to 10 memes about the show, and I'm just like, okay, guys, this is outstaying its welcome.
yeah, like how I like to put it is there's loving a piece of work and then there's stalking it, and I feel like too many people, they go beyond loving a piece of work and they stalk it, and it's like, get help, please. Like
I mean, I
like
always I find writers are very obsessive, but I also find that readers are quite obsessive
mhm,
too. So it's kind
mhm.
of part of the bag, for better or
Yeah,
for worse.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
one of my favorite books is Blood Meridian. I've read it
oh
3 or 4 times,
Mm.
and like I'll just be upfront. I'm obsessed with that book. Like I'll go back to it and see if I can find all the little It's like a puzzle, really. I'm like the cat chasing the little red dot on the wall with that book. We all have those books, you know.
I love Blood Meridian. Yeah, I love my go-to book. I would say not as much as I love Blood Meridian, and I love Blood Meridian. I mean, I don't think I read a bad book by Cormac McCarthy. I mean, there's ones that I like less than
Yeah.
but like
I'm the same
the
way. I mean, I wouldn't say like Child of God is one of my favorites from him, but like I could still
oh, I love
appreciate
that
it.
one. Oh, I love Child of God. But like, I mean, like the Orchard Keeper.
I haven't
It's
read that one.
okay. It's his first one.
I'm
It's
sure
okay.
I'm sure there's roughness there because it's his first one.
Yeah. But Cormac McCarthy, he was another one who was wild. He was kind of crazy. Like he refused to ever have like a real job. So there's stories of like him making him and his like wife bathe in like the river and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And then
I've heard that. Yeah.
and then yeah, and you're like you see like the number of divorces he's had, and it's like what a shock. What a
Yeah, no,
what a real
I've. It is so
shocker.
weird because like I've seen interviews of him, and or he seemed because he's unfortunately
Mhm.
passed, like a regular enough guy, you know.
Yeah, he hated writers though. He hated them.
Yeah, he liked scientists. You're like, oh well,
Yeah,
okay.
he would hang out with the scientists at I forget whatever it was, and he had no time for other writers, which
Yeah, it's interesting because of just how influential he has been on so many writers and like
mhm,
genres. Because like we were talking
yeah,
about like hard boiled earlier, and I wouldn't call like Cormac McCarthy like a crime writer in the traditional
no,
sense. Like I
no,
mean, No Country for Old Men I think is a crime book. Like it just I mean
well, it's a western. It's a western.
it is a western too, but it is a crime novel. But I
Yeah,
think so anyway. But anyway,
yeah.
but like he has that certain like hard boiledness that has influenced a lot of like hard-boiled writers as well.
I almost want to put Cormac McCarthy in his own genre.
I mean,
Uh,
I agree with that. Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
like here's what I love about Blood Meridian, and I think okay, it's got like how I pitch Blood Meridian to people is first don't don't let that be your first Cormac McCarthy. Like read
Yeah,
like dear God, I knew
like
this
all the
one.
pretty horses or No Country first, and
Yeah, do like The Road, No Country, like literally anything. Read like two or three books by him first. But I knew this one woman over in the UK, and her professor. She was a freshman. I forget what they call it over there, but yeah, she was like a first year, and her professor assigned her Blood Meridian. I'm like, why? Like why, bro? Like, and she's like, I hate this book, and I'm like, of course you hate it because this is like McCarthy. Okay,
to the
this is like
nth degree.
to the nth degree. It is the most inaccessible McCarthy. Like this is what that would be like going against like a raid boss the first time you boot up like a game. Like you're going up against like the end boss of like a game right at the beginning. It's like
It's like you're in like
uh
a pop philosophy like 101. They give you like the Republic, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, you go into like an intro philosophy class and they slam down Kant's The Critique of Pure Reason. Here you go.
It's like, what is that?
Yeah. But I go, imagine a kind of like biblical
Uh
language,
huh.
it being like an epic poem. But what I love about it is how the violence is never, and this why he affects me, why Blood Meridian means a lot to me is the violence is woven so seamlessly through, right?
Yeah, it's their
They
way
go
of
through it,
life because
yeah.
it's their way of
They
life.
they go through a town, violence, 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 and it's just like this natural kind of like river stream. Like I don't want to say a stream of conscious, but like a river stream where like violence happens, other things happens, but the violence is never
Oh,
lingering.
someone looks at someone the wrong way during a funeral. Whoops, there's a gunfight, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I just loved the way that he seamlessly wove violence into it, but he didn't linger on it. He didn't bathe in it. It was just Well,
And
that's
it's
what happens.
it's one of those books like I get why people bounce off of it because it's like again it's so like what the fuck is this? But I love it.
I
You know
bounced off it the first time, not
what?
because I bounced off it the first time.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, it's funny. When you read it the first time because I read it the first. I did finish it. I did finish it, but
Yeah,
it's more the like rereads I would do later where I was like, oh, show me your mysteries.
yeah.
Um,
But I
where
mean, you can't beat the judge. You can't beat the judge. Like the quote, like just chilling. That which exists without my permission exists without my consent. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just cold. Just an absolute. Um, there's so many good lines you can pluck out of there that are like so good, right? But yeah, the judge has to be one of my favorite characters. I don't know about you, but
He's one of my favorite antagonists.
oh, hands down, hands down.
Definitely like my like scariest antagonist for me.
Yeah, because he's just so psychotic. He's just an absolute psychopath. Yeah.
And also like I don't think he's that far off from people in our world, believe it or not.
I don't think he is either.
um
Sadly.
Maybe not as sophisticated, but oh man, you'd be surprised. But no,
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be.
no, but it's a great book. I really yeah, no, it's like my third favorite cuz my favorite book's The Great Gatsby. I love that book.
I love The Great Gatsby too. I hated it when I had to read it in high school, but then my friend got me to read it in my 30s, and I'm like, brilliant, brilliant.
You're like,
That's
I
a
get
common
it
story.
now. Yeah, no.
That's a common story. No, that's a common story. Like, okay, I could grab an anthology off my shelf called Burnt Tongues, which is it's an anthology of transgressive fiction, and in there, Chuck Palahniuk recounts how in high school he hated The Great Gatsby, but he loved it in his 30s. I've heard from so many people who say they hated The Great Gatsby in high school. They loved it later in life because it's one of those books that I think you need maturity to appreciate. Like you
I mean,
need
I was one of those weird people who read like classics when I was a kid, and I read The Great Gatsby, and I was more like I was more fascinated by the language and like somebody could write like that. Kind of funnily enough, kind of like Blood Meridian, where I was like, holy shit, someone can write like that. I didn't know you
yeah.
could do that. I want to do that, but
You know what? You want to know what book I was obsessed with as a kid?
what book?
Moby Dick.
That's what's funny. I want to read that one again. I do want to read that one again because I read like a illustrated classics version of it when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Then I
Yeah.
read it again when I was in like high school, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "What the hell is going on here?" Now I'm kind of like, I'm 25. I'm gonna be 25.
Yeah.
I'm curious what I'll think of it now because
When I was a kid, I loved all the stuff that people hated.
I'm the same way. So
I loved the whaling. I loved all of the intricate parts because I felt like I was learning something. Like I was like I'm learning all about whaling. Because I mean, you might be too young for this, but I remember back when I was a kid, and for those of you who are watching who were like under, I don't know, 30, 35, the History Channel and the Discovery Channel used to be good before they injected this ancient aliens horse shit into it, right? Like I promise you, it used to be good. And so I would watch those and I would be like, all these,
before it was taken over by the ancient aliens cranks.
yeah, before the ancient aliens morons were like, and they had like fake, people who are, it's like, you don't know anything. Yeah, you'd be like, watch it, and you're like this guy who's like, looks like he's hopped up on like fucking drugs or whatever. He's like, it's ew. And it's like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? He doesn't know anything. He's just like he doesn't know anything.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. You know that meme.
Yeah, or like before you would watch like, let's say like a Civil War documentary, and you'd have people come on, and you'd be like, okay, this guy's got credentials. He's
This guy's legit.
professor of yeah, professor of history at Pennsylvania State University or something, right? And then you get like Ancient Aliens, where it's just some like random jack off, and it's like, but no, I'm just telling you. So like,
No, I know. I'm just you're just so right. I'm just like, oh god, this is
and then
funny.
like that that whole like, and then like Discovery Channel had that like biker build off and chop shop or whatever it was called. It's like,
Have you ever watched like Jubilee on YouTube, where they get like people from like different like walks of life, like they'll get like it's become kind of a meme recently, but it's like they'll
yeah,
get like a bunch of conservatives, a bunch of liberals together to like debate. And there was one they had where it was like literally scientists talking with people who believe in a flat Earth, and it is mind boggling. It is just like
I have mixed feelings on Jubilee. I think I have mixed feelings on it. I think it can be, if how you approach it, it can be a very unproductive platform
mm-hmm.
where people are just trying to get clips for stuff and trying to, but if done right, I think it can be very instructive. So like if somebody like Dr. Mike is on there,
Mm.
if you know of Dr. Mike, he's great guy on YouTube with really good medical information. I mean, he will go after like the anti-vaxxers, but he does it in a way where he's not an asshole about it. Like he
Mm-hmm.
tries to meet people where they are, and then where a lot of these debates, I find very unproductive because it's just what are we doing? We're just trying to score points, and like these are serious issues that we're talking about that should be taken. And also, it's like you get like I've watched enough of them where it's like, are you just getting dumb people? Like, are you just getting like the dumbest people? Like there was one Jew.
To be honest with you, they probably are.
Like there's this one with Sam Cedar, right? And I don't give a shit what your political views are on this. Like this guy was just fucking dumb, right? Where he
Sam
goes
Cedar
up
was,
and,
or another guy?
no, there's this other guy.
Oh, okay.
He goes up and he's and during the debate between him and Sam Cedar, this guy said to Sam Cedar that government agencies get tax breaks for hiring, people of color. And Sam Cedar had to go, no, government agencies are funded by taxes. They don't get tax breaks. And he goes, oh, they absolutely do. And it's like, how do you not know? Like, I'm sorry. How do you not, how are you that fucking stupid that you don't know like what taxes are for? Like taxes fund things,
I
right?
don't know. I don't know if you've ever encountered the peak stupidity that is Dan the Waterman, who is like a flat earther guy, and you're just like, my brain is boggled. Like, people think like this.
Okay, I'll tell you a piece of my history. Back in college, I for sport, and I admit this is, I'm not proud of this, but this is just for sport. I would debate like creationist people, and like, oh my god, bro, like some of those people, I look back now and I'm like, I feel like my brain is like cooked because of these guys.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but no, see, I find the flat Earth people to be interesting because that's like the bottom of the barrel of like conspiracy theories.
Yeah. You know,
Because,
you're just like, dude, the
well,
ancients knew it wasn't flat. What are you
yes,
doing?
yes, this, yes, like we have known that the Earth was a globe since before Aristotle. Like there were a
Like,
few flat,
like
like
even it, like they always say, like they always like the myth they'll shoot to you like that, like Columbus is like, oh, they thought the Earth was flat and I proved it was not,
no,
and you're like, no, they knew it was when he was around. They
they
knew it
knew
was round.
they knew. Okay, there were a few pre-Socratics. There were a few pre-Socratics who thought that the Earth was flat, but then it was quickly shown through the sticks and shadows. I forget who did that. I forget the name of the guy who did with the sticks and shadows. And ever since then, I mean, like Aristotle, for like Aristotle himself, his cosmology has a spherical, Earth. I mean, he gets a lot of other stuff wrong about geocentrism, but it was nobody for like flat Earth is such a new thing.
Like nobody
Um,
seriously thought the Earth was flat for a
no,
long time. That's what you're getting at.
no, no serious person thought that the Earth was flat for like thousands of years until the recent crop of dipshits that came around. And like, here's the thing. Here's why I call it the bottom of the barrel. You have to deny all of science, like geology, astronomy, and you don't even have to. How do I put it? It's so bottom of the barrel because you don't even have to have sophisticated scientific knowledge to do simple experiments to prove it. Like, you can ask them, okay, why
You can
is
just
it
like
that?
look around the globe and it's like, oh, it looks spherical. Okay, it probably is. It's a ball.
Well, no. You can just look at like stars in the sky. Like, why is it that certain hemispheres can see some stars, but others can't?
Mm.
If it was flat, we should all be able to see the same things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Why,
exactly.
if it's flat, okay, so like, okay, take like a random star in the sky, right? If the Earth was flat, why is it that if I'm that we can all be facing in different directions, roughly speaking, and still see the same star? Shouldn't we, if it was flat, if I'm looking this way and you're looking this way, we should see different stars, but we don't. We see the same ones within our, rough hemisphere, right? Um, what was it like? I think Polaris is only visible at is only visible in the northern hemisphere. And the southern hemisphere, it's the I forget something. So it's like just very obvious things like that where you don't even have to have like a lot of things you have to like walk people through, like detailed like mathematics and science. But like flat Earth, bro, you can like you don't even have to have that. You can just be a regular person who just looks at the stars and thinks, like just does basic reasoning, just looks at the sky and thinks, and you can come to the conclusion that the Earth is a ball, right? Is a sphere, and that's the most baffling conspiracy theory because I don't know what is the benefit. I
Yeah,
can't.
no, I'm kind of intrigued by conspiracy theories. I mean, I don't really
Yeah,
believe in a lot of them. I mean, there are now. I'm not saying there aren't genuine conspiracies that have turned out to be true, because that's definitely true. But
right.
and then there's stuff like JFK where it's like there's so many holes here where like
Mhm.
some bullshittery might have happened.
Yeah,
You can play with some wiggle room there, but like
yeah,
aside from that, it's like but no, like with flat Earth, you're just like, oh my god, they've known this for like millions of years. This is not like I don't know if you've heard of I don't know if you listen to much rap or if you know
I love
anything.
rap.
You
I
love
love
rap
rap.
music. There's a guy called B.O.B. or Bob. He's
That I haven't heard of him. No.
Well, he decided to get into like a Twitter discussion with Neil deGrasse Tyson on if the world was flat. And I'm just
Oh
like,
my god.
and I'm not,
I
and
want.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, he wasn't even being a douche. He was just like,
Yeah.
hey, just look outside, look at
Yeah.
the feet, you'll see it.
Yeah.
But he's like, no. And it's like, it was funny because like Neil deGrasse Tyson's like nephew apparently is a rapper as well. And they made like a little diss track. It was fun because like B.O.B. made a diss track and you're like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by it. I really wish I knew like why they think like because with all conspiracy theories, like there's like some underlying reason of like why they want to cover it up. Like
Why would
what
they want to
what
cover up a fucking flat
what's
Earth? Like, who
what's the
benefits from that?
what's the motivation? Yeah, I don't get it. Like what does NASA have to gain from covering like
Like, at
I
least
don't
with fucking Pizzagate, you're like, okay, maybe these, like, weird rich pedophiles want to keep power. Like, that
yeah.
makes kind of sense. It's still crazy, but, like, there's a logic there.
there's an internal motivational logic of why there would be a
But like,
conspiracy.
flat Earth
Yeah,
just makes no sense. You're just like, why would they cover that up? Except for the lulls, I guess.
man.
They're just so. I would think there would be more convention. There would be more practical means of exerting control over the populace. But
One of these, one of these days, I'm gonna do a short story. I'm gonna do a cosmic horror short story where I have this idea planned out. Where there's this lady who was kind of kicked out. She was like a high class or like a highfalutin scientist, and maybe chemist, who knows. And she's kind of like drinking her sorrows away in South Africa, and like she's got a friend down there who's like, he's into conspiracy, and he's like, yeah, the Earth is flat, and she's just like, listen, okay, how about this? We can take a boat to Antarctica, right? Because there's like a certain period of time in Antarctica when it's completely light, right? When it doesn't go dark. So like, and that was just funny. They actually did this to flat earthers. They actually brought them there. They go,
oh yeah, I think I've heard of this. Didn't like a
yeah,
pastor like bring some like people out and go like, look, it's or someone did. Maybe it was a
yeah, and like
scientist.
the fact that like it doesn't go, the fact that like it's light the whole day, and this like it's like a week or maybe just like a couple of days. It was a short period of time. And so like the story is going to revolve around like she's getting annoyed by this guy because she's like, this guy's a moron. Like, I like this guy, but he's always going
idiot.
on. He's like, how about this? You can like, we'll sign him up. We're going to volunteer at this, like, because there's research bases in Antarctica, and you can sign up to be like a janitor or whatever.
I think the thing kind of spooked me away from doing anything in Antarctica. I don't know what weird shit I would find over there.
Yeah, it's too cold.
Yeah, it's too cold too.
And if you get kind of like medical thing, like you're just fucked, right? But no, right?
That sounds like an interesting story, though. I mean, we'll continue where you want to.
Yeah, so the story was going to be they go there, and
does it turn out that the world is actually flat, or is that?
Well, it turns out
is that the cosmic horror?
The cosmic horror element is that they meet like this like eldritch being.
Oh, okay.
who can change this who can like change Earth, and so he can make it flat, or it can make it flat, and make it spherical. And that's like the horror of it, is like they're both right depending upon on the inclinations of when this being. But that kind of sounds dumb, right?
I think that sounds kind of cool, actually. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, we're like, it turns out that like this being can like make the Earth flat, but then also it decides to like keep it a sphere for I don't know what reason. The whole
you haven't figured it all out yet.
Nah, I gotta let it percolate. I have a lot of ideas that percolate for a long time until all of the pieces come together. Driver was like that too.
Yeah, I remember something Stephen King said where he goes like, I find the good ideas are the ones that always kind of stick around.
Yep. Yeah, I don't write down ideas because I agree with them on that. Like the ones that gnaw at me, the ones that really gnaw at me, I know I have to do. So like, here's one that's gnawed at me for like 7 years, I think, at this point. Was a story about a woman with like a tragic. This will also be like a noir one. I'll eventually get to it, but I'm just trying to figure out how to write it in a way that's comprehensible, where she does audio recordings as she's bleeding out after a failed bank robbery, and she's recounting her tragic life story. I've got some of it written from like a while ago.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
No, it's
yeah.
Kind of bringing back. We were talking about noir and crime literature. I actually found an article recently from the Jacobin where it was talking about like crime fiction noir specifically, like isn't left wing anymore, and they made like a little thing about it. And I was just kind of like,
Mm,
and I thought that was kind of interesting. I was just kind of like, I don't see it because I find like the idea of noir as a concept, kind of like what you were saying earlier, is about the underbelly of society. I'm not saying like right wingers can't go like, hey,
yeah,
yo, society's kind of whack. We got to do
yeah,
something about it. But like it's generally more the left wingers who go like, yo, society's kind of whack, or well, maybe not society itself, just like
yeah,
that seems like a pretty inherently left wing idea. Maybe they have kind of a, I don't know. I mean, I don't know of very many like hard like leftist like communists who write crime literature. I mean, Dashiell Hammett of course exists.
you know one
Well, yeah,
now.
I know you're pretty far left, so I mean you do. I was
Yeah,
curious. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here, but I was curious what you thought of that because it's like I don't I don't know. There are like right wingers who write crime fiction do it very well. I mean, James Ellroy comes to mind, at least for me anyway.
yeah,
But I don't know, just like The Wire, very
yeah,
left wing perspective. I mean, I
yep,
know a lot of right wingers. Like I'm not like far right or anything, but like I'm right, and I appreciate The Wire. Um, you know, like it's like you were saying, it's about like the underbelly of society. I don't think that's like a. This seems like a
yeah.
idea that like more left wingers would be attracted to than right wingers, but I don't know. I could be talking out of the side of my mouth here.
I mean, I think it lends itself easily because, I mean, gosh, I don't want to come off as like an expert. I'm by no means an expert, but at least,
It's like if like someone wrote an article about like how punk rock isn't like left wing. You're like, what?
right, right. I think it lends itself more easily, right? Like it
Which
lends
that was
itself.
kind of the point of that article as well. Kind of like it kind of started out as this kind of left wing thing, and I'm like, well, I don't know if it started out as like a left wing thing, but I do think it lends itself, like you were saying, it lends itself a bit more easily to a left wing perspective.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, what you're doing in noir is you're showing kind of like the grime. You're ripping off the mask of society and you're showing its true colors.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing that the villain can win. You're showing that um, kind of like the myths and the lies of a society, and you're exposing them through your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I think I don't know if it leans intentionally left wing. I don't know if the people.
I mean, I don't think it does personally, but I, like you said, I do think it kind of lends itself a bit more easily to like.
Yeah, like I don't know. Okay, I think the people. I think it's kind of like a natural gravitational pull rather
At the
than
same time, I think it's also a very moral genre as well. So I could see like how like right wingers can be attracted to it too. I mean, you're looking at one, so yeah.
yeah
But it's kind of I mean, really, if you ask me, if there's like a villain in noir, it's the world. It's not necessarily like
yeah
Big Smoke over there. Big Smoke's just a part of the world.
yep
So
yep yep
I don't know
yep.
why I said Big Smoke. That's just the first like kind of gangster sounding name that came to my mind.
No, you're definitely right. I mean, I think that noir and westerns have a lot in common in that respect. Is that
Mm-hmm.
like the enemy or the adversary is the world. Like in westerns, it's the environment, but it's also this kind of
The modern
old.
world.
Yeah, like you have the old way of doing things and the new way, and the encroachment upon one upon the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always like I have this Western idea that I've again letting percolate, where I have this scene, right? I have this scene in my head where it's like this like outlaw, this like brutal killer um, outlaw who's at a table talking to a Pinkerton who has been hunting him.
Mm.
And they're having this discussion about violence.
Mm-hmm.
And the outlaw's main point is like, listen, I've killed maybe 20, 30 people. I kill people in like a dirty way. You kill people in like a sanitized, clean, state sponsored way. Like, yeah, I may kill 20 people, but the government you worked for, is wiping out the Native Americans. Who's bad? You're going to stand in judgment. He's going to say, like, you're going to stand in judgment of me. I gunned down a few people in the street. You killed hundreds of thousands of Native peoples. You're ruining, but you're going to stand in judgment of me. I'm the brutal one. Just because I don't have the sanction of the government, but since you have a funny badge and the government said you can do it, that makes you good. Which again doesn't make either of those guys good, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're both, they're both, but it's a kind of this interesting dialectic, right? This interesting dialectic between which I think noir can lean into as well. And like with, when you watch a Killing Me Softly, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not a coincidence that you see, um, like Obama on the
Yeah,
screen,
Obama. Yeah.
and I think that that's very intentional because I think it's meant to show something like, here are these criminals on the lower level and they're doing crimes. Obama's doing crimes too. He's droning innocent people. He's doing war crimes. He's killed more people than any serial killer. I mean, every president has more bodies in their wake than every serial killer times 10.
That
Together.
is a good point. And, it's kind of funny you bring that up because that ending monologue in Killing Them Softly always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Not necessarily because I think the scene is bad or anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
This
like,
guy wants to tell me. We're living in America, or we're living in a community. Don't make me laugh. America's not a country. It's just a business. So
mm-hmm.
fucking pay me.
Yeah, and that's a good line. I'm not saying it's like bad or anything. It's just kind of like, but like you murder people for
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
and for your own selfish ends.
Yeah.
You have no right whatsoever to get offended, which I guess is kind of the point, because I don't know if necessarily he gets offended by this. He's just kind of pointing this out. I'm like,
mm-hmm. I don't think that he's offended. It's just like a brutal reality check, right?
mm-hmm.
It's a brutal reality check of that bald guy kind of wants him to play ball. And he's just like, nah, bro, don't try to moralize to me, because Brad Pitt's character, he knows what he is. He knows he's a killer. It's the other guy who's trying to, because remember when he's like, he points to Obama on the screen and goes, as one, people, we are as one people. And he's like, see that line? That line's for you. Again, a kind of all American bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of, and he's trying to expose it. He's like, the line is something like, we're one people. He's like, Jefferson said we're one people. While he sat back, other people fought for him. He sat back, fucked his slave girl, and drank his wine. Right.
Yeah,
Again,
sorry, finish your thought.
no, I mean, it's like, here's something to make people really uncomfortable. People are all up in arms about Epstein Island. What do you think the fucking 13 colonies of America were, other than the original Epstein Island? The founding fathers were brutal rapists. What were the 13
You know,
colonies?
I don't know if I put it like that, but okay, continue what you're saying.
Jefferson raped his 14-year-old slave girl. These people, this was known. This is not even controversial. It's baked into it's baked into America. That's why when the whole thing about Jeffrey Epstein came out, I'm like, that's not surprising. That's what we've been doing. That's what the elites have been doing forever. And the thing is that the thing is, what the great thing about noir is that it exposes the hypocrisies, because we
Yeah, I
have the
agree with
founding
that. Yeah.
fathers. You know, we have the founding fathers who said that all men are created equal, except for women, black people, Indians, and non land holding white people. That is a stunning level of hypocrisy. That is a stunning level of horseshit,
Yeah,
right?
I guess where I kind of took umbrage with it is like, yes, but that doesn't mean those principles are worthless. That doesn't mean that those principles aren't worth striving towards, in a sense. I mean, I'm not trying to like poke the bear.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like poke you here, but like
Oh, don't
Karl
worry about.
Marx
Don't worry about.
was not a like he was a piece of work as well. Which I guess
Yeah.
kind of makes sense when you're influential, you know. I don't know, but like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like he like banged his maid and he was like a deadbeat person, you know. It's instead of I'm
Yeah.
totally talking out of my ass here. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like antagonize you or anything. I'm just saying like.
You should. No, no, no. You should antagonize me. You should. I don't, unlike other people, I don't mind being antagonized. I think that,
Well, I'm not trying to antagonize you. Is what I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
I mean,
saying. It's like, but does
well,
that mean his principles are like meaningless? I mean, I don't agree with Marx very
yeah.
much, but like, I'm not saying though, just because the personal flaws of somebody doesn't mean like what they say is completely moot. Is what I'm getting at.
No, but what I'm saying is that those principles have never been held. Those principles have never been held. See, that's the thing is those principles may be good, but they're selectively applied, right? I mean, you
Okay,
can.
yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from there.
So, I mean, you can ask the Japanese internment camp victims how their fucking rights have been protected. It's like, I don't mean to parrot George Carlin, but he made the point better than I did. Is we've never had America has only been a country of temporary privileges because they can take them away anytime we want. And I don't mean to say this, but we're seeing that right now.
I was about to say,
We're seeing
yeah,
right now
that's.
in fucking Minnesota where they are taking people's rights and they're murdering people. And I don't give a shit who I offend when I say that. I know that it is what it is.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And so
it's I you know what I won't dip my toes too deeply into politics, but yeah, I know what you're
go for it,
saying. I
man.
hear
Go
what you're
for it. We
saying.
can.
I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's a it's a fucking shit show right now.
Yeah.
Eh, You know what? I'll just get this out of the way. You know what drives me fucking crazy about people who criticize Donald Trump?
Wait,
This
stop. Also, what time is it? Because I have to leave at a certain time.
Oh, it is 6:12 where I'm at.
Okay, so then that would be 7:12. Okay, so I got like about 10-15 minutes and then I got a jet. But okay,
Okay, cool. I was about to say, we've been going on for a minute, but anyway, I'm just like,
mhm.
people are acting like this is some big, and don't get me wrong, he has done shit that makes George Bush look like fucking, you
Mhm.
know, look like honest Abraham Lincoln, honest Abraham Lincoln. I'm being for real. Like, you remember when George Bush was the fucking antichrist to, like, the mainstream, like, left?
Mhm.
Like, sometimes I'll think back nostalgically on those days, Like, I remember that. I was a kid when that shit was going down.
George Bush and Donald Trump aren't that different. What are
No.
they doing
What
different?
I'm
What are they
saying
doing?
is, it's like,
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is, like, this is not, like, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that this is not a shocking event. This shit has been building for the past maybe 10 to 20 years. Hell, maybe even since the country was founded. I don't
Agreed.
know.
Agreed. It's
This
not a
is
shocking
not
event.
new.
It's not a shock, which is pathetic. Which is, I think that that's a condemnation of sort of the core, what we consider to be like the core principles of America. Is that this isn't something new. Is that this
I
could be
mean, you
entirely
know,
predictable.
you can't beat human nature, unfortunately.
Human nature, I don't think you can blame it on human nature.
I do. I mean, we've
No,
been
because
we've been
human,
raping and conquering and enslaving people since the beginning of time. I
from
don't
an
think that's
evolution,
going away anytime soon.
no, from it, no. That's fatalistic, and it's just not true. Human beings are fundamentally cooperative. They're fundamentally cooperative,
Well, yes.
fundamentally empathetic. They're not naturally warlike. So let's do some experiments. If human beings were naturally warlike, why would you get war or not? Why would you get PTSD from going to war? Why wouldn't you just come in your fucking pants every time you gun someone down?
Okay, that's a little extreme, but I see what you're saying.
Okay, so you get so
I
right.
get what
So
you're saying.
okay, what's natural? What's natural? Fucking, having sex, right? Have you heard of anybody developing PTSD after a consensual sexual experience?
No, I can't say that
That's
I
nat
have.
that's nat war and is
Well,
not
okay, I'm
natural.
not saying like I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like a Hobbesian where I think like humans
Yeah.
are nasty, brutish. You know, we have nasty, brutish, and short lives or whatever.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is that human beings are, yes, they're definitely there. There is a natural cooperation. There is a natural, you know, um, there's a natural sense of connecting with your fellow man. That's true, but there's also that sense of violence. I mean, that's what
Mhm.
Blood Meridian's all about.
Mhm.
You know, that's what
See, but you're
Cormac McCarthy was thinking about his whole career. Is like, here are these things. Like, human beings have the potential to do amazing things, but we just keep holding ourselves back by being ourselves. But by war and violence and whatever you want to believe. Which maybe that's pessimistic, and I'm not saying that's an optimistic view, but
but I mean, but that's
I
taking.
find myself falling into that kind of belief as I grow older. And you may
But
disagree, and that's totally fine.
yeah, I mean, but that's taking people as they've already been corrupted by a given society, right? Um, which is a Rousseauian critique, right? So Rousseau's critique of Hobbes was essentially Hobbes thinks that in the state of nature it's just nonstop violence. And Rousseau comes along and says, okay, but you're analyzing human beings as they've already, as you find them in society. And you're thinking that, and you're extrapolating from that to that must be how they were before. Um, so, I mean, I think you can look at a lot of societies and you find relative peace. You find relative stability. You can look to many um, South American countries, many African countries, many Middle Eastern countries that before Western intervention and pillaging
Mm-hmm.
weren't perfect. I mean, we're not, nobody's ever,
Well,
yeah,
before let me just back up. I'm not saying like that's cool,
mhm,
enslaving and like being
yeah,
imperialistic or whatnot. I'm just
right.
saying this has always been a thing. You know, I'm not
Hmm.
trying to say like this is like a good thing or it's like, oh, it's natural. I'm not. Yeah. Well, I guess I did kind of say that. I wasn't trying to say that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like it's always been there.
It's always been
So it
there,
gets
but
kind of frustrating when you see people moralize about this stuff because you're just like, which I guess is why I like, I guess is why I like, crime fiction and like dark,
yeah.
depraved stuff because it's like, this is how it's always been. What'd you expect?
But it's not though. I mean, that's the thing. It it's not always been that way. And I think that that attitude prevents a kind of building of a better world. Like I think like
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with
I mean,
that.
I write dark stuff. So like if you read Driver, I hope you come away. I mean, you see, in my opinion, this is how not to be, right?
Yeah.
If you read a lot of my work, it's how not to be.
Well,
Um,
sure. Yeah.
but I believe if you can envision it, you can achieve it. It may take a while, but if you can imagine it, um, there was a time when people in America just, it was just unfathomable. They just couldn't imagine a world without slavery. And the abolitionists were considered absolutely crazy. What? A world without what?
I mean, to be fair,
It
like
happened.
there were a lot of people who knew slavery was wrong, even then. Like Thomas
Um,
Jefferson, he might have been hypocritical. I'll grant you that, but there is
yeah,
there's no doubt that he saw it as evil.
he had slaves.
I'm saying, I'm not saying he wasn't a hypocrite. I'm saying he knew
Yeah,
it was bad. He knew it was evil.
I don't know what was in his head. I just know that he owned slaves and he raped his slave girls, and then he kept those children as slaves. I don't know what to tell you. Like he's perpetuating the thing he's saying is I don't know what to tell you. I'm
No, I'm not
not
saying
inside.
you're wrong. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like he knew it was evil, even though he did that.
Yeah, I don't know, fuck him in my opinion, but yeah, I have a low opinion of all the founding fathers, but um, I don't. I just I think that we have to imagine a better world, and that kind of this kind of reducing of it's always this way is kind of like a non-starter. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think that there's really no evidence for that, and that there's a lot of evidence for people being cooperative and wanting to work together, that it really brings a lot of meaning to people's lives. I mean, talk to anybody who volunteers, for example, who does charity work. They love it. I mean, there are exceptions, but I mean, overall, they love it, right? They love that kind of doing for others and giving back. And
Yeah, I mean that's why I try not to say like humanity is one thing because it's a bunch of
yeah,
things. That's kind of
it's, yep,
as much as we are capable of you know being warlike and dominant what's the way how do you pronounce dominative I don't know but anyway dominant sorry
dominant, yeah.
yeah or whatever we're also capable of coming together and being kind and cooperating with each other. I think that's true as well. I mean it's not it's not one thing.
Well, and I think that the I mean, if people listening or maybe even yourself think I'm too harsh on things, you know, you have to, before you can build something new, you have to be very critical of, the old thing, you know?
Hmm.
And so when I criticize something and I go at something really hard, it's not because I necessarily just enjoy the chaos of tearing something down or I want to go on a vendetta. It's no, we have to be honest with ourselves, right? We have to look at ourselves in the mirror. We have to be serious. We have to honestly evaluate the situation and critique it and criticize it. And then from there, once we know all of its dirty flaws, we can then learn what not to do next time, you know? And so when I say stuff like, the founding of America was founded on, it was like the first Epstein Island. It's like, okay, once we know that, we can say, well, perhaps we shouldn't, there's some kind of a problem with having elites, of having people who um, have this kind of power. Or when I say, America is, we go around and we steal other people's stuff. It's a humanistic critique because I don't view my life as any more important than somebody in Guatemala or the Congo. I mean, we're all members of the human race. We're all equal. We're all brothers and sisters on this planet. Um, and when harm is done to any of us, this may sound idealistic, but it's a harm to us all, right? It's a grave. The human race is one big family, in my view. So,
I mean, it's a very dysfunctional family, but you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
dysfunctional for sure. Dysfunctional for sure. Yeah.
And it was but yeah, kind of going back, I'm like, I don't know anyone who's who've been influential in history wasn't a piece of shit. To be honest with you, like Isaac Newton was not a fun person to be around for one thing, but
No, he liked to. Funny thing about him, he enjoyed killing people for.
Yeah, what?
He's got like 32 murders on. Like the government hired him to go after like counterfeiters.
Jesus.
And
I didn't know this.
He enjoyed it. Yeah, look it up. He enjoyed it. And he loved killing, hunting down people who made like counterfeit coins or something. And he would get contracts and he loved it. Not to mention he was like, by all accounts, he was a very unsavory person to be around. Like both him and Leibniz co-discovered calculus, but Newton was all up in arms, insisting that he did it, right? So he was very mad at Leibniz, but yeah, Newton, we got some good stuff out of him, but man.
No, I'm just saying, we'll just say like a historical figure that I find really fascinating, like Winston Churchill, very influential, helped. Well, he stove off the Nazis. I don't know if he defeated them, but he did stave them off for.
No, the Russians did. The Russians.
Well,
did.
No, they did, but like he was the first one who was kind of like, "Go fuck yourself, Hitler," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool," and very interesting man. But like you read about him, you're like, he was kind of a dickhead.
And did genocide with the Bengal famine.
Well, sure, yeah, but I'm just saying.
Thought that Middle Eastern people were inferior. Yeah, Winston Churchill was a piece of shit.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying that, like, people who are influential like that are often not great people.
Yeah.
And, I had that phase where I was 14 years old where I couldn't really put that together, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm here. I'm talking with Sebastian Vice right now.
Yeah.
I can't hate any of it's like they're dead. They can't really, do anything now. I'm sure if people like Isaac Newton and Winston Churchill were alive, they'd probably be super confused by our reality. But I mean, what can I do?
If Isaac Newton was alive right now, he would probably want to stab both of us for talking bad about him.
Probably. Honestly,
he was an asshole. He was a real like vindictive, nasty guy. Yeah, he was.
Like Machiavelli. I don't fucking know all that much about Machiavelli. I'm sure he was also kind of a dickhead. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to take historical figures in context, is what I say.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying they probably weren't pleasant people to hang out with.
I mean, when I die, if my legacy lives on, I mean, I'm sure that people will look back on me, you, if we're remembered, which is who knows, and they'll say, "Man, these guys, they had some good points, but oof, they were sure rough in some other spots."
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's everybody. Everybody. That's the joy of being, in my opinion, the joy of being a human being is the fact of to be a human being, I think is the fun part is the imperfections,
Mm-hmm.
is the flaws, and that if you have you ever seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
No.
So in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, it's got um,
Isn't that the Robert Rodriguez movie?
I think so. It's got I can't think of his name. Johnny,
Johnny Depp?
yeah, and he plays the CIA officer, right? And he
Mm.
he goes to these restaurants and he's eating this one kind of dish, and there's one time he's like, this is the best, this is like the perfect iteration of this dish. It's absolutely flawless. And he goes back and he shoots the cook. He goes, that can't be. Now, the deeper message that I took that from that was there's got to be imperfections in anything a person does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's those. Do you ever listen to a piece of music and you think that's too polished? I wish there was more distortion. Like we want to see those imperfections, those little things. This is what I tell
I would
writers.
say
This
I
is,
notice I notice that more in like movies and books. I don't really know that in
yeah.
like music.
Like I'm one of those people that when I see a typo in a book, I'm like, oh, thank God. Now, if there's too many, it's distracting, but it's like I want to see anything that humans do. I want to see that kind of that human touch of it's not perfect. There's a spelling error. There's a weird sentence, right? Again, you can go overboard. If you see them every other page, not good, but here and there, you know.
Po
But
Buddy's
yeah,
nerfect is what my dad likes to say.
yeah,
It's probably my
yeah,
favorite dadism. He said.
yeah. That's great. That's
Eh,
great.
anyway, yeah, no, I know you said it's going like 15 minutes. I don't want to hold you here if you need to
Yeah.
go.
What
Like,
time is it?
it's
What
it's 6:30 now, but
Okay. Yeah, I probably have to go.
um,
We should do this again. This has been great.
yeah,
Like,
no, I do want to read your book because again, I'm reading a lot of crime novels this year, so I might sneak that one in there because that sounds really interesting. It sounds like my type of thing anyway. But
yeah.
yeah, we should do this again. I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Sebastian, for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
No, it was my pleasure. I've long, this is a long standing belief that I have. I'll kind of end with this um little anecdote, which is I'm somebody I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk if anybody invites me on, so long as I have the mental
As long as I don't go,
capacity.
hey, did you hear about this book called The Turner Diaries or Mein Kampf? Like that?
Okay, listen.
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I have to be prepared. I'll talk to them, but I have to be prepared to what I'm walking into so I know how to approach the conversation. But I mean, who wants to talk to me in good faith, I'll talk to. And I take after, and again, I hate this is very sad, but um, I took after one of the people that I looked up to, Noam Chomsky. Now, of course, now we find out, oh God, he was in the Epstein files, but okay. He had the attitude, I'll talk to anybody. I'll go on anybody's show, anybody's podcast, whether it's got 10 viewers, whether it's got 10 million. Um, so long as I have the time and whatever. And he answered every single email, every single letter he wrote back. And people told me about this. And so I tested it. I asked him a question. I emailed him a question. And he got back to me. He answered every email. He he was there. He would talk to anybody. And that left a mark. It's I don't too often I think they're too discriminating who they talk to. Oh, I only want to talk to the biggest people. It's like, no, you talk to everybody. And that's my view. Whether your podcast has 10 people a million people. It don't matter. If you want to talk to me, I feel honored. I feel honored and privileged. I just need to know the rules of the show because you've been very gracious and allowed me to swear and stuff. I know a lot of people, they don't like that. So you just got to just tell me the rules and I got to, but if you want, anybody who wants to talk to me, it's an honor. You know, so yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you wanted to come on here and hang out for a bit. I really appreciate. I always love doing these, so it's always fun.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, I got a jet here, but it's
Anyway,
been a blast.
but yeah, just real quick before we go, if you have any social media, feel free to share, and that's it, and we'll be done here.
I don't have any social media. I used to, but
And you're on Discord, so
I'm on Discord. You can find me on Discord. I will say, besides, I've got Driver, and my latest one, which is a post-apocalyptic novella, Only the Numb Remain, which, if you like Thomas Ligotti, if you like True Detective,
mm.
Thomas Ligotti, and Cormac McCarthy's The Road, imagine putting that all in a blender, boom, and with my own flair, you've got Only the Numb Remain. So, oh yeah, we didn't even get to talk about True Detective. I think you're a True Detective fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I did an analysis of Russ Cole some years ago because I don't know.
Oh, I love Russ Cole. That was the first character that I deeply, deeply was like, saw myself in. I'm like, somebody spoke to me.
Well,
And it
perhaps
was Russ.
perhaps next time I get you on here, we could talk about that. I don't know, but again, thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
Sebastian, for coming on your show or coming on the show. I've just
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I just got to figure out how to leave here. So, okay.
all right. Well, take care, everyone. Till next time.
Yep. See ya.